Here's another show you can enjoy in the True Story FM family of entertainment podcasts.
Hey, movie lovers, I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Andy Nelson. We are the hosts of the Next Reel Film Podcast.
If you're passionate about films like we are, you'll love our show. Each week, we dive deep into a movie, discussing everything from the story and performances to the cinematography and score.
Not to mention budgets and awards. We have covered iconic series like Francis Ford Coppola's The Godfather trilogy, examining themes of power, family, and the dark side of the American dream.
We've explored the works of groundbreaking directors like Catherine Bigelow, discussing her mastery of tension.
We've looked at heist films, great car chases, great years in film, couples on the run, and more.
Our discussions go beyond the surface, examining what makes each film tick. We believe that when the movie ends, the conversation begins.
And we'd love for you to join that conversation. Find the Next Reel Film Podcast on your favorite podcast app or at thenextreel.com.
The Next Reel. When the movie ends,
our conversation begins.
Coming up on The Devil's Details, what is Solomon's Glassdoor rating? The Testament of Solomon, Part 3. Good morning, Star Lovelies, and welcome to another episode of The Devil's Details, a show where we dig up, decipher, dissect, and deconstruct the many forms of the devil. One of my names is Lester Ryan Clark.
And I sometimes go by Keenan Diaz.
And we're just two lost souls hitchhiking down the highway to hell. And just a reminder, today's episode was originally recorded as bonus content for our first podcast, The Exorcist Minute, so I think we should hand it over. Take it away, past Lester and Keenan. In solidarity with the WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes. And folks, you're in luck this week. Last time we got extra biblical. This week we are getting extra biblical as we continue our examination of the apocryphal text of the Testament of Solomon. Keenan, what do you remember about the Testament of Solomon from last week?
Very little. Let's think here. Okay, so I remember
last time on Testament of Solomon.
I remember our first Testament of Solomon because I just listened to it. But then Testament of Solomon 2 isn't out yet. So what's happened? He brings Orneus, our friend, the pesky demon, there, and then Orneus is like, okay, I'm gonna tell you about the Prince of all demons, right? And the Prince of all demons is that Beelzebub or somebody else?
Yeah, that's Beelzebub.
Oh,
Beelzebub. Yeah,
Beelzebub. What are you gonna go with, Beelzebub or Beelzebub?
I mean, you know what? In the text, it changes several times.
Oh, Solomon, you scamp.
Yeah, I know. Who obviously wrote this thing.
So then I believe, if I remember, you have to fill in a lot of the blanks here, I think, Lester. Okay. But then, so now he gets control over Beelzebub, and then Beelzebub is like, okay, I'm going to send these demons to you, and a bunch of them are going to come to you, and you have to figure out, like a jobs fair, I guess, figure out where they're going to fit in within the building of this temple, because that's not something Beelzebub does. Beelzebub can get them to show up, but he's not like an HR person.
Right. This is the career fair at high school.
Right, exactly.
Where you're meeting all the the different potential companies that you might sell your soul to once you graduate, but instead of multiple companies, it's just Solomon at every desk.
It is I, Solomon. What else do we need to fill in the gaps here? That's all I remember.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and we've met a couple of demons so far. We met Ashmedai or Asmodeus, right? And we got him to stamp the clay with his mighty feet,
right?
Because he hates water, and because Solomon is a little vindictive here.
Yeah, we're going to see that a lot today. So he's like, you don't like water, so you got to dredge out the mud, and we learned last week how to make bricks.
Yes, right. Yeah. From Solomon. Okay. Yes. So Solomon has quite a few pesky demons to help him build this first temple of Israel. Unfortunately, time has not been kind to Solomon. We're starting to see that he isn't the most empathetic boss. What ratings would he get on Glassdoor today, do you think?
I've never been on Glassdoor. What do they have fancy things? It's stars. He'd certainly get like a 2 out of stars, but is it like chili pepper and
Chili pepper. Like how spicy is Solomon?
Yeah, chili pepper and tofu and I don't know.
I think that would be for the demons. Like how spicy are the demons? And then how, I don't know, next to Solomon it would just be like a hammer or something like that.
I was gonna say a whip, but he doesn't use a whip. He uses his ring.
Yeah, he uses so it would be, but like he gets other people to hit these demons for him.
That's right.
He doesn't want to get his soft hands dirty. All right, he's got that ring there. Yeah. But yeah, no, Glassdoor is just, you kind of like you rate the company and you rate the employer and yeah. But yeah, so I'm thinking Solomon, he would get a solid 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'd go for.
From Modius. It would be the at symbol and a capital M and then a 0.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then a D and then yes.
Yeah, Solomon will never figure out who that is.
Yeah.
Who left that one? Say Anonymodius.
Oh, we have to start all over, and we have to make that sound like I came up with that at
first. Do whatever, you have all the power. I am just the demon.
Yeah.
You are the Solomon of this podcast.
Mm-hmm. Do you see this ring in the form of this $1,000 microphone? No.
Oh, but the editing software.
Oh yes, the editing software.
I don't have any. You've got it.
Whereas I have the audacity to command these sound waves to do whatever I want them to do. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, except make my voice sound good. Oh,
no. Oh, stop it! Everyone loves your voice.
Yeah, no, I know. I was fishing for compliments.
Well, you go. Here to get them.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, but yeah, in any case, we take a slight turn this week as some of our demons are not so keen to follow Solomon's orders, despite the awesome power of the ring. And by awesome, I mean like awe-inspiring. I don't mean like, tubular or radical. But I don't know. I mean, I guess you could do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. The Archangel Michelangelo gives it to him. And a slice of pizza. I don't know. But yeah, so folks, if you'll remember, Keenan and I decided to pick 3 of our favorite demons and talk about them here. So today you are going to get 6.
6?
6 demons for the price of 36. That's actually a lot less. I don't know why I said it that way, but here we go. Actually, everything I just said is a lie because our first entry is not 1, not 2,
not 6,
but 7 demons in 1. I feel like the Billy Mays of demons right now. Right, I'm trying to sell Solomon some weird demon bundle. But you can only summon me from 2 to 3 in the morning. That's when Solomon knows it's time to go to bed. He's like, I got the Billy Mays demon again. He's trying to sell me like this worm that cuts limestone like you wouldn't believe. Let's take a look.
Let's take a look at the worm that cuts limestone. It's Billy Mays here.
I don't know how to do I don't remember what Billy Mays sounds like.
Oh, it's like he has a megaphone attached to his mouth at all times, even though he doesn't. Like he just came out of the womb like that.
I was very tempted to just go into Gilbert Gottfried, but he's not Gilbert Gottfried.
No. He says, Billy Mays here with the secret power of worms. You too can now have limestone cut special for your house or temple.
But no, okay, so this next group is actually pretty cool. They are the 7 Sisters of Darkness, or sometimes the 7 Sisters of the Underworld. Mm-hmm. Again, if we're keeping track of cool metal band names, like Solomon and the 7 Sisters of Darkness, I mean, that sounds pretty
good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Solomon doesn't do any work at all. The 7 sisters are, like one of them's the vocals, one of them does the bass, one of them, and Solomon just, I don't know. He does what he imagines dancing to be.
But he probably takes care of the merch and stuff.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, takes care of the merch and the money.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just saying, guys, Solomon and the Seven Sisters of Darkness are probably not taken, so somebody grab that up.
That's great.
Okay, let's have a listen. This is verse 34. And I glorified God afresh, who gave me this authority, and ordered another demon to come before me. And there came 7 spirits, females, bound and woven together, fair in appearance and comely. And I, Solomon, seeing them, questioned them and said, Who are ye? But they, with one accord, said with one voice, We are the 33 elements of the cosmic ruler of the darkness. And the first said, I am deception. The second said, I am strife. The third, I am klothod, which is battle. The fourth, I am jealousy. The fifth, I am power. The sixth, I am error. The seventh, I am the worst of all, and our stars are in heaven, 7 stars humble in sheen, and all together. And we are called, as it were, goddesses. We change our place, all and together we live, sometimes in Lydia, sometimes in Olympus, sometimes in a great mountain. Okay. So we got a lot to unpack here. Firstly, when he asks them who they are, they all answer of one accord and in one voice. I think I said it on the show before. Like, I love these monsters that are both one and many, right? Like these hive mind or multifaceted monsters that, that's just such a cool concept to me, right?
Yeah,
and again,
like Legion, right? I mean,
exactly, precisely like Legion, yeah. And again, like it just makes for a really cool, like, Final Fantasy boss, right? Because like they all work together. You got to focus your attack on one of them, right? Because like this one's healing the other one, so you got to take that one out first, and that one takes care of the shields or whatever,
But then you don't know that the other one in the corner has revive. You didn't know that the first time you played through.
Right? There's no way to beat this boss like the first time around. Right?
Exactly.
It's trial and error. Hey, error! like one of the ladies here. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're everything, it sounds like. What have they left out? I mean, they have error and jealousy and strife and everything.
Yeah. Well, okay. And they say we are the 33 elements of the cosmic ruler of the darkness.
Oh, I got 33 elements of the cosmic ruler of the darkness telling me one thing, you're telling me another thing.
But I tried to figure that out. I was like, 33 is not divisible by 7. What is even going on here? Like,
that's true. So 2 sisters are left out of that final round, right? Because it would be 35 times 5 is 7 times 5 is 35. So.
You've already lost me. How do we get to 33? How do you get 33 out of 7?
So each of them have 4, and then 5 of them have a 5th.
I will trust you.
But then 2 of them don't.
Sure.
If it's as evenly distributed as possible. It might not be.
Yeah.
Like 4 of them, or wait, hold on. 6 of them could have 6 of them could have 1.
Yeah.
and then
one of them dozen could have the other. But okay, like so there's a note right below, right, from one of the scribes, and he says this is probably not supposed to be 33, it's supposed to be 36.
That doesn't help.
Let's say 7 yeah. Well, no, 7 times 9.
7 times 9 is 63.
Never mind. I am not a math teacher, folks. 4 times 9, right?
4 times 9 is 36.
Yes.
So what does that
That's
mean?
What I meant to say. I'm just going to edit the other part out.
You have the power.
I do, right? But yeah, so like 4 times 9 is 32. Like, but I still don't understand like what we're trying to get at here.
No,
like,
I don't understand.
Yeah. There's some talk about them being like having to do with the astrological signs.
Okay.
But literally, Solomon meets the demons of the zodiac later. So it's not that, because they don't come back. They're not included.
Right.
So I don't know. The scribe goes on to say that like the grouping of evil spirits by 7s is a common thing in Babylonian and Jewish folklore. And then they cite a bunch of like examples, and then they say that it could also be referring to the 7 planets. And then they go on to say that they don't align with like I said, we get the demons of the zodiac later, and these sisters are not included in that, right? So the scribe is citing this as proof that this is a composite document, right? Stuff has been added later because it doesn't match up.
Okay.
But folks have tried to match them with the 7 deadly sins.
When was that invented?
Well, there is a thing. I do believe it comes a little bit later, where and we might talk about this. The 7 princes of hell, and they align with the 7 deadly sins.
Okay.
But as we can see here, right, strife and power, like that doesn't fit with the 7 deadly sins. So
Right.
they've really tried to make these like the sisters of the 7 deadly sins, but it doesn't fit.
Right. So I just did a quick remembrance on Google, and the 7 deadly sins were invented in the 300s of the Common Era, so the 4th century CE. So yeah, that would have been later. So again, I mean, maybe that did happen, right? Like maybe they're adding to the Testament of Solomon and trying to make that work while still keeping the original intact, right? And then there's like compromise sins like battle.
Yeah. Because this, folks, remember, right? Like we're pretty sure that the Testament of Solomon was written somewhere between like the 1st and the 3rd century. So it, well after Solomon's time, but before kind of the concept of the 7 deadly sins. Yeah.
Right.
So.
But after the time of Christ, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's going to come into big play in one of the demons we're going to talk about.
There's some definite hints that this was written after the time of Christ. That we're going to see.
Right.
Yeah. Unless these demons really can tell the future. I don't know, But yeah, and then someone pointed out that they could be the demonized versions of the Pleiades.
Right.
Also known as the 7 sisters. It's a star cluster within the constellation of Taurus, and in Greek mythology, they were companions of Artemis, goddess of the hunt, and the teachers and the nursemaids of Dionysus, or Bacchus, as he's called in Roman mythology. So again, we got the demonizing of pagan gods, which further confirms this as definitely a Christian text.
Okay, right. Yeah. That's interesting.
And you'll notice, folks, that like in the text, it never mentions that these 7 demon ladies are sisters.
Right.
But like everyone's saying, the 7 sisters of the underworld, the 7 sisters of darkness, right? But because of the connection to the Pleiades, they're like, oh yeah, they're probably sisters, Just like those 3 ladies, 3 vampire ladies are probably Dracula's wives, even though the book never says that either.
That's very presumptuous.
Yeah, right. That says a lot. Like it could be one of them could be his sister, one of them could be his mom. We don't know. One of them could be just a lady.
Right. And if he's turned them into vampires from humans, right? Does that mean that they're his wife automatically? That's rude.
Yeah. Was one of them like his wife when he was not a vampire? And so that one like has like the most clout, and like when Dracula's away, she's just like sitting with the others, like let me tell you about this. Never ever takes the the clothes out of the dryer. Always with the socks, like the stinky socks on the foot of the bed.
So I ran into an old friend of mine yesterday. We all got together and saw him. He's living in New York, and then I was like, "Oh, how's Christina?" And he's like, "Oh, she's doing so well. She's doing her performance art now." I was like, "Oh, that's so interesting. That's so new for her. That's so great, and I'm glad you guys are out there together and all that. Doing art." And then our mutual friend was like, "Oh, so how long have you been with Christina?" And he said, "Well, that's my sister, so my entire life."
There you go. That answers that question right there.
Right.
And so, yeah, they introduce themselves, and each of them seems to represent something malicious in and of itself, or something which brings humans to ruin. So deception, strife, battle, jealousy, power, error, and the worst of all, which has no name.
Right.
And then this last one makes reference to them being goddesses, and that they frequent Mount Olympus and also Lydia, and both of these are prominent places in Greek mythology. And again, it feels like these Greek Christian authors, which is what we think, who we think wrote this, right? they're trying to square the circle here and explain how the religion of their ancestors can fit inside the current religion of Christianity, right? Which,
right.
we had that reference to like Beelzebub ruling over Tartarus, right? And Tartarus being synonymous with hell. So it feels like we're doing that again here.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. And so, we then get a list of the angels by whom each of them is thwarted by. Deception is thwarted by Lamechalal. And I checked each of these to see if this is like the first mention of them. And this is the only reference to this angel I could find.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so he may have been made up just for this story. But interestingly, the word lamech in Hebrew means to be brought low. So it could be something like brought low by God, lamechalal, right? Or something like that. I'm not sure. And then we have Strife, and she is brought low by Baruchiel, which might be the same as the angel Baruchiel or Barachiel, which means blessed by God. And in some Judeo-Christian denominations, he is the archangel of blessings. So he checks out. Like he appears in other places. Right?
You one of the good ones, Baruchiel.
Yeah. Right. You weren't just made up for this story. Yeah. And then so Clothod or battle, which I'm a little bit confused by, because like all of these others, like they just say the English title, right? So I am this, right? But every single time they say this one's name, they say Clothod, and then they're like, which means battle. And it's like, but they don't say that with like presumably these are all translated into English,
right? Yeah. I just did a quick look around. Yeah, I don't see any other definition for that.
Okay.
So, except for battle.
So this isn't even like ancient Greek or anything?
No, I think it would be, but yeah, it just everywhere it says it's battle.
Interesting. Huh. Okay. Well, yeah. So she is frustrated by the angel Marmarath.
I like that name.
Yeah. It seems like he only ever appears in this text.
Aww.
Yeah. He also doesn't have one of those like L names or all names, which is like, that's the angels like Raphael, Gabriel, Baruchiel, right? So it was Marmarath. I don't know.
And we got a big L coming up later.
Oh yeah. So next we got Jealousy. She appears to be thwarted by Balthiel, who actually appears in the book of Enoch and is apparently the angel of forgiveness. So he also seems to have a history. But then I'm wondering, it's like, okay, why don't we pair him with error, right? Like error and forgiveness.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's paired with jealousy. So I don't know. Like maybe this is me again trying to make things like fit, right? But like, who am I to judge? I didn't write this. Solomon did. But yeah, okay. And next we have Power. And Power is frustrated by the angel Astaroth, which I was like, wait a minute, that sounds like Astaroth, which is like one of the 72 demons later, like in the Ars Goetia. So I don't know, but there doesn't seem to be anything else about him as an angel if it's the same being. I don't think it is, but like, I think this one was made up.
Well, one of the demons I'm going to talk about claims that they cast out other demons. That they are the frustrator of other demons. They don't go into it, but maybe it is the same person.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
Anything could happen here in the Testament of Solomon.
Right.
There's no rules here.
The world is your oyster. The world is your temple of Israel, built by 72 demons.
The world is your oyster, but you're not allowed to eat it. See Leviticus.
Yeah. Don't eat that oyster. Yeah. All right. And then we have Error, and she is really interesting. This is verse 40. Likewise, also the sixth said, I am Error, O King Solomon, and I will make thee to err, as I have made thee to err when I caused thee to slay thy own brother. I will lead you into error, so as to pry into graves. And I teach them that dig, and I lead errant souls away from all piety. And many other evil traits are mine. But I have an angel that frustrates me, Uriel. So, error is referencing the Book of Kings, where Solomon kills his brother Adonijah in a dispute over rulership. And I said it before, I'll say it again. I love it in stories when a demon points a finger at you and calls you out for something that you already did. In this like accusatory way, right? Of all the demons we've met so far, we've had ones that, grovel at Solomon's feet. We've had arrogant demons who refuse to answer or obey him. But this is the first one to not only imply like, I know who you are, but to also call him out on something. And up to this point, these sisters haven't probably threatened him. Even now, this one is sort of like implying that Solomon has the ability to sin, to make error within him, and he already has, in fact, and will again.
But even more, she's saying like, I'm the one who did that to you.
Yeah, that's where my whole thing falls apart.
Oh,
I
really?
was just gonna kind of skip over that.
No, I like that part. Why do you have trouble with that part?
Well, because like I like it in stories where like it's not the demon, it's the person, and the demon is kind of like judging you, and it's like you should feel bad about yourself,
like in The Exorcist, right? Yes.
Yeah, right.
You know what she did, or I know what you did, Dimmy. You put your mother in there, yeah.
Right.
But yeah, this is a little bit more sequel-y. What do we say? Like origin story-ish, right? Like you've read the Book of Kings, and now it turns out like, oh, it was I the whole time.
It was the demon.
It was the demon who did this to you. Me. The demon.
That's God. Everybody just like self-proclaiming themselves in this story. Yeah. But yeah. So that's she cites Uriel as her opposing angel, and we know Uriel by now translates to God is my flame, and I believe in some traditions he is counted among the 7 archangels with Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael. Uriel also appears in Paradise Lost. He's the angel guarding the earth. I think he's dwelling in the sun. So when Satan escapes hell and he's searching for earth, he stops and he asks Uriel for directions.
Okay.
But he's like in disguise as like a lower ranking angel. I think it's like a cute baby cherub. And he's like, oh, I just heard so many great things about God's new project that I wanted to see it for myself. And Uriel's like, sure, no harm in that. And so he points the way, and and Satan's like, "Oh, thank you, Mr. Angel." And he wobbles his way, through space and gets to Eden. But then, like later on, like from the sun, Uriel sees Satan, and he's monologuing in the garden about like what he's gonna do, and how it's like, and I'm the one who is tormented, and I bring hell with me, and he's like, "Oh, that was the one guy I wasn't supposed to let in here." And so he goes off and he tells the other angels, and he's like, hey guys, someone let the author of all evil into the Garden of Eden. We should probably go get him. So yeah, the more I kind of like remember Paradise Lost, the more I kind of want to like do just like a quick like Cliff Notes.
Well, I'd have to read it. How long is Paradise Lost?
Oh, well, no, like maybe our thing is like, hey folks, like we're gonna talk about it so that you don't have to read it, right?
Oh, I should read it. It's for whatever reason, I really focused on American lit when I was a kid because I'm such a snob, patriotic snob. I miss reading the Iliad and the Odyssey and Beowulf and Gilgamesh and all of that stuff. So.
Oh, okay. So just like all of the things that Paradise Lost references. Got it.
All of that stuff. But,
right. Yeah. In addition to the Bible.
Well,
right.
Okay.
They sometimes reference the Bible. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Uriel, you messed up.
Yeah. No, Uriel. So that's error. So she's so far the only demon to get inside Solomon's head.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. So now we get the last sister, and she says, and this is verse 41, she says, I am the worst, and I make thee worse off than thou wast, because I will impose the bonds of Artemis, but the locust will set me free. For by means thereof it is fated that thou shalt achieve my desire. For if one were wise, he would not turn his steps toward me. And once again, we get an interesting revelation here because she happens to be foreshadowing Solomon's downfall. Spoilers, guys. In a really cryptic way. Again, I love how these demons are, they're like beholden to Solomon, but they can also call him out on his past misdeeds and even predict and foretell his ruin.
So she's foreshadowing Solomon's downfall, which, because because this is written thousands of years after the story of Solomon was written. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, right. So she's like the last to find out.
Like how we can foreshadow that we might be talking eventually about a demon that inherits a Walmart. And all you out there, notice our powers of foresight.
Yes. No, like I am talking about within the story, this is a cool character and a cool device.
Great, wonderful.
But yes, no, you're absolutely right. Because this was written after the fact. Yeah, we can do this with Napoleon, too. We can have a ghost come to Napoleon and is like, watch out for Waterloo, or something like that,
Right.
Hey, Mr. Lincoln, don't go to any theaters.
Any theaters?
Any theaters.
Any of them? Oh.
None of them. Yeah.
Fiddles.
Right? Not even the theater of the mind. No. It really is a theater of the mind, if you know what I mean. This guy's just like elbowing everybody. It's like, who invited Jeffrey?
Yeah,
right?
what is this elbow thing? I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
I don't think that's been invented yet.
No.
Prodding people with their elbows. What does that
mean? No. It's an attack. It's an attack on the president's person.
All right.
That's where patches on elbows came from, folks. You see those because all those liberal teachers, right?
Yeah,
trying to kill presidents.
They got those patches on their elbows.
It's not because they're poor and the government doesn't pay them enough for their services. No. It's because they're hot-headed rebels who want to kill the president with their elbows. Yeah, but all of this foreshadowing, right, goes over his head. That is over Solomon's head.
That's right. It doesn't go over Abe's head.
No.
Sorry, Abe.
I just got that.
I thought that's what you were saying.
No. I was making the proclaiming Solomon joke again. You were making a shooting Abe Lincoln in the head joke.
Hey, I didn't do it. I wasn't there.
Oh, Solomon, my Solomon.
I have this thing that's sort of a chip on my shoulder because I'm Asian and Hawaiian, and so I look, I'm clearly brown, and so some people will ask me do you speak Filipino, which do you speak Chinese, and I have this sort of chip on my shoulder. I'm like, no, my grandparents didn't even speak Filipino, and my grandparents' grandparents were the ones who moved to this country, and so I'm kind of like, the assumption is that like I'm new to this country, right? Or at least my people are. But in this case, I could say my people were not even in this country when Abe Lincoln was shot. So I'm in the clear here. That's you people problem.
Yeah, you are 100% in the clear.
100% in the clear.
Absolutely.
I guess my people were also in Hawaii, but that's
that was like way over there. And you know what?
Right.
Geographically, it's still way over there.
Still pretty far.
Yeah. But yeah, okay. So this goes over Solomon's head, right? And he says after getting this prediction of his doom, he says, "So I, Solomon, having heard and wondered, sealed them with my ring. And since they were so considerable, I bade them dig the foundations of the temple of God. For the length of it was 250 cubits. And I bade them be industrious. And with one murmur of joint protest, they began to perform the tasks enjoined." So there's some confusion here about the word considerable.
Okay.
Because some people are saying, because they were so considerate, he was nice to them and gave them an easy job. And then I look at the job that he gave them, and it's not an easy job. I don't care. I don't know how much a cubit is, but 250 of them are very, very. That's a lot.
A cubit is about 1.5 feet.
Okay. Well,
so it is 375 feet, which is
the length of which is 375
a football field. A football field and some extra.
All right. Yeah.
That's
so
big.
that is to dig the foundations, 355 feet of a foundation. Yeah.
Okay, but you can divide that by 7 of them.
Well, yeah.
So hold on, everybody. Hold on.
So you're Team Solomon on this.
5 divided by 7. Hold on, everyone. Hold on. 375 divided by 7. That's 53 feet each. Squared, though. So 53 squared.
Mhm.
53 times.
Well, he said the
53.
length of which.
Well, who's going to do the width?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So they're doing 2,800 square feet each
Of foundation.
of foundation. So that's like 3 of my condos put together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
I don't know if they have a deadline or like how long do they have to build this temple?
I don't know. Yeah, Solomon doesn't seem to have imposed a deadline on them.
So for some demons to atone for their sins, and they have to dig 3 condos worth of foundation. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, that's pretty considerable. But then, see, there again, like, so does considerable mean like, because they were so considerable, I made them do this job. Like considerable meaning like because they were so extra. Because that's what a considerable amount,
Right.
a considerable size.
There's 7 of them, I think, is what he's saying.
So like because they were so numerous.
That's what I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Why I need to say that? I don't know.
Yeah. Right. He says a lot.
Because considerable isn't considerate, I suppose, right?
Right. No, those are 2 different things. So I think other people are mistranslating this as like, oh, because they were so nice to him. Right?
Were they?
Because they weren't. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we told you that we killed your brother.
Mm-hmm. Right. And we're gonna lead you to ruin later on.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So makes them dig the foundations 250. What did we say? 300 and.
What? It's 250. It's 250 cubits wide.
Yes.
Or long, and we don't know
Yeah.
the other dimension. We don't know how deep it is.
Right. But you have to say the feet thing so that I can make the next joke.
Because it's 250 cubits wide, and we don't know how long it is, and that's 300.
No, the length of it was 250 cubits.
That's 250.
This is what happens in the Exorcist Minute, folks, when we don't have a movie to talk about.
We don't know the depth, but that's about 375 feet.
Okay. Which, I mean, like, it has been proven that people were a lot smaller back then. So, 375 feet is, it could be little tiny feet.
Right. They didn't have as many vitamins in their childhood as we do today. Yes.
Because Solomon didn't invent them yet. Right.
Be little demon vitamins.
Yeah. It's like 72 flavors. Yeah.
This one's error, and this one's battle, and this one's power.
And this one's vitamin C. The worst of all.
Oh yeah. What's the worst of all?
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, it doesn't say. I looked at my notes as if I had an answer. No, it doesn't say.
Yeah, I don't like that part of this this story here. Okay.
Well, I mean, she's basically saying I am no one.
Right.
But like, yeah, like some people have was like, ooh, that's really cool that like she's the worst and she doesn't even have a name, right?
Okay.
But other people are like, well, that's kind of a cop out, right?
Right. Or it is like a Lovecraftian thing, right? Like whatever the reader imagines is the worst of them that's not on that list. That's what this one is.
So it could be vitamin C.
It could be vitamin C. It could be
John Wilkes Booth.
It could be people who steal from the break room fridge. I hate those people so much.
Right. I am the worst of all. I am Jacob, who steals from the break room fridge. Yes, I saw that baggie had your name on it. That's why I took your sandwich. None of the other baggies had names on them. See, but that's how you fool them. You put on the sandwich, on the baggie, you put the worst of all. And they're like, oh, that's obviously for me. Well, I'm not going to take that.
Great.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's the Seven Sisters. Keenan, I think you got the next one.
Yeah, the next demon is just one person.
Okay, just one person.
Yes, but in the text, it's pretty bulky as well for this one person. So this is from verse 57. And I adored the Lord God of Israel, and bade another demon present himself. And there came before me a spirit in woman's form, that had a head without any limbs, and her hair was disheveled. And I said to her, Who art thou? But she answered, Nay, who art thou? And why dost thou want to hear concerning me? But as thou wouldst learn, here I stand bound before thy face. Go then into the royal storehouses and wash thy hands, then sit down afresh before thy tribunal and ask me questions. And thou shalt learn, O king, who I am. What do you think of that?
That is, so again, like we're getting some demons who are like, no.
They're a little sassy.
Yeah. Who art thou? No, who art thou?
Who art thou? Yeah, I really do like that a lot. And
Yeah, really
and this demon commands. She's like, "We're not going to talk until you wash your hands."
Yeah.
And I saw a bunch of a different commentary. Like, why would that be? Right? Like, why would you do that? You know, the most famous like hand washing is with Pontius Pilate in the Bible, right?
Right.
So, but I don't think that's what this is, because it's not like that's about like I'm gonna get rid of my guilt over this or anything like that.
And that would be a Roman thing too,
right?
Not an Israelite
right?
thing.
Yeah. So people are like, what is this? And then the best answer that I found is just like she gets Solomon to do anything. Right?
Yes.
She's like, you go and do this before we can even have this little interview, right? This is like the Gen Zs of the job interviews. they're like, how much, what's your starting wage you would like? Well, what's this pay? Like, why are we here? Like, what is this? If you want to interview me, you have to go and, bring me a coffee.
I know my worth, right?
Right, exactly. Do you? And look,
that's really interesting.
And here's my worth. I command you, Solomon, to go. I'm doing a lot of neck rolling here, and you can't see it, right? It's like you go and wash your hands before you even have to talk, right?
Now it could be like I've heard. So actually, Keenan, full disclosure, I accidentally researched this demon too because I thought it was mine.
Okay.
But yeah, so we can kind of like tag team this one.
Okay.
But I've also heard it's this kind of idea that the trope of like demons still see themselves as like angelic, clean, pure spirits, and it's like she appears before this human and she's like, ew, like clean yourself up.
Right,
like, do you know who you're talking to?
And he's like, no, I don't.
Yes.
So yeah, he gets to know her a little bit after he washes himself, and she says her name is Abazuth or Abizau in other pantheons. So she seems to be kind of across a bunch of different pantheons, and I hadn't heard of her. So that was really cool. And I do like her because she cannot sleep but never gets tired.
Interesting.
And that will be, now that I've heard that, like we've been asked like what our favorite superpower would be. And I think that would be it, because I really resent having to sleep, and I have a lot of problems with sleep. And of course I love sleeping, but I try to avoid it. I stay up too late, and I'm always trying to, be efficient. It might be a curse afterwards to not be able to sleep, obviously, but I like that idea.
Right. As long as it goes together with the not getting tired.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Because if you're tired and you cannot sleep, that's me now.
That's right. Yeah. That's all of us right now.
Yeah. But no, Keenan, I feel you. Like in the night, that's when I come alive with like my brain is firing. It's like I got all these ideas. I want to go run around the lake. I want to go to the gym. I'm like very, very active, and I'm looking at the clock, and it's like I need to go to sleep right now because I need to get up, right? And without fail, I force myself to try to go to sleep, and I don't fall asleep until way later, and then I get up, and in the morning it's just like I'm sluggish, and I'm like, man, I wish I had the energy that I had like last night at midnight.
Well, maybe you should do what Abazuth does, which is that she is a shapeshifter.
Okay.
She's greenish gleaming in her face, and she has disheveled serpent-like hair. And if she has limbs, they are not seen by the likes of man. They are invisible or like shrouded perpetually in darkness. We can't quite tell.
Yeah, the text was a little bit vague about this, and I've seen like artistic depictions of her as well, and people can't seem to decide whether she's like just a head,
right?
Like a Medusa head or something like that, with these like snake-like disheveled hair,
right?
Or that she's a fully formed, like she's like a Venus de Milo, like a torso with a head but no limbs.
Right. So that is pretty unclear about it. And then whether she has serpent-like hair, in the text that we're using, it just says disheveled. But then other people say that she has snakes in her hair or dragons in her hair.
Yeah.
And that does, is she a version of Medusa? No. Because the only thing, she doesn't have any like the rock changing powers, right?
Right.
She doesn't have what Medusa has, like blood that's poison, right? So she doesn't have any of that stuff. But perhaps the author was looking at the fact that Medusa is used in a lot of Greek temples as just decoration. And I wonder if that, just because of the hair or what have you, or whether it's, if you look in Medusa's eyes, you turn to stone, whether it was like a sort of a shibboleth, like, okay, it's warding off outsiders.
Yeah.
But they even use it
okay.
in synagogues.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's like, are we taking part of that Medusa thing, but then, conflating it with Abazuth here. And so putting
Right.
those things together, we're not quite sure.
Yeah. Well, and you're talking about like how like even some churches have like the gargoyles on the outside.
Oh,
Right?
that's a good point. Yeah, I never thought about
Yeah.
that. And those aren't
And you think
those aren't angels or anything, right?
right. Those are obviously demons, right?
Oh, I've
But they're
never.
like the outside of the church, and they're like keeping the other demons out. I
Yeah,
think.
that's so
Yeah.
interesting. Because I talk to my students a lot, because my students have even less training in the Bible that I do, right? And so we're watching movies and literature and talking about literature and like philosophies that are religious in nature, and it's like we have to understand how much we are a Christian society, even if you are an atheist or an agnostic.
Right.
Like it's so
Yeah.
much part of it, and so I'm like all these things that like we say God bless you, or our buildings are often shaped like crosses, and like why is this? And like even if we're not conscious of it, like there's all these things from the biblical times that are impacting our organization of society. And that's another one that I'll have to bring up from now. Gargoyles, like what's the deal with that?
Like gargoyles, and I'm sure we could do an episode on gargoyles as well. But like not only that, but like the early builders of the earliest Christian churches in Western Europe, they were pagans, right? They're being forced to kind of like build over their own sites of worship, and build these things. And you'll see a lot of I think they're called like foliate faces or foliate masks or the green man or something like that. Like these pagan images, like kind of like secretly carved into these old churches, and people like they just somehow like were able to get away with it and being like, okay, we're being forced to convert, but we're gonna put some of our gods in here as well.
But then people, because they last for centuries. Then people go into those things and they don't look pagan to them; they look Christian to them.
Exactly, because we forget the context. We like the connection to the like the reason for those statues is now gone,
right?
And we just associate it with it's like, well, this is a church, so that must have something to do. That must be, I don't know, like Moses or something like that, right?
Right. Yeah, that's so interesting. So what she does, so I was gonna say I like Abazuth a lot, but she's one of the nastiest of the demons. So she apparently was a human at some point, and she was infertile or was not able to conceive in some way. And so when she became a demon, she preys on unborn children.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so she goes up into the birth canal at night of a pregnant woman and causes miscarriages or stillbirths, which is real nasty. Someone was asking like, well, how does she? The text says she strangles children. That must be a mistranslation, I would guess, because if she doesn't have arms, then she probably smothers them more than anything. But she says that even though she cannot sleep, she must kill at least one child a night before she's allowed to rest.
Interesting.
Yeah, so she's pretty nasty.
Yeah.
And so she's a lot like Lamashtu, it sounds like to me.
I was okay. Good. I was sitting on this. I was waiting for. Yeah, like this is a female demon that kills children, right? Like or unborn children, right? Plagues on mothers,
right?
And is also like just like Lamashtu is like fended off by like amulets with her opposing angel on there.
Right. Yeah. People would have amulets, medical amulets, which I don't quite understand fully, but they would have medical amulets of Abazuth on them, but they would also include, they're pretty busy amulets. They would not just be like her face or like the Pazuzu metal that we're used to with our story. They would also have like Ouroboros on them. And they would have all sorts of different things there, but she was one of them to, I don't know what that was about. Was it to not maybe to ward off people, but maybe to like, say like, hey, because it wasn't like keeping a Pazuzu head on you to ward off Lamashtu. It was like, now you have Abazuth's face on you. Is it to like say like, hey, I'm one of your buddies? I'm,
Interesting. Okay. I actually, so what I was reading was that they would use an amulet of the angel Raphael.
Oh, okay. Yes. They do both of them though. So there are actual little medallions of Abazuth or Obazuth that are really busy, and they have a bunch of Greek on them. And yes, when Solomon commands her, as he does with all of these stories, right? Like who is the angel that frustrates you? She says Raphael. And then she says like, okay, now that we've had this conversation, you can write Raphael on a pregnant mother and it'll ward me off.
Right.
Right,
Or like on a piece of paper,
Right.
and then the pregnant mother can have that, and
Yes.
then that'll be interesting. Okay.
So Abbasid says that's, I guess as a sort of reward because you have gotten me, I'll tell you how to ward off me from taking children from your kingdom's people. Because Solomon doesn't actually use this ring on her. There's sort of questions like, is it because she doesn't have a corporeal body?
That was one of the things that scholars were wondering.
Right.
It's like that he can't, but I think
Or
even in the
because
text,
she is commanded,
says,
because she has sort of foiled him by commanding him.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Well, I think in the text it's like that ring won't work on me or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Or it's like this is my job. Like this is my duty. I have to do this all the time.
Right. And then, so, his whole deal is to collect these demons that Beelzebub has sent in order to get them to work on the temple. And I also like her. Again, she's maybe the worst of them. She kills like, babies and that. And she's like, well, oh, you want me to work in the temple? Well, I don't have any skills because the only skills I have are killing babies, afflicting babies with deafness and blindness, and making them mentally delayed. Like, so if you want me to be doing that around here while you're in the temple, I could do that. But otherwise, I have nothing. So I admire that about her.
This is all I got.
That's all I got. Yeah.
Right. It's like taking the don't lie on your resume to like the next level. It's like, so what are your strengths? I kill babies. What are your weaknesses? I kill babies.
Exactly.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Killing babies.
Right, exactly.
If we hire you as the department head of internal affairs, what will be your first task? Killing babies.
Right. I put this all in the application online. I don't know why you're asking me to repeat myself.
Okay. Well, do you have any other questions for us? Do you have any babies?
Yeah.
No. Then I think we're done here.
I think we're done here. Thanks so much for coming in and not through my birth canal.
Yeah.
So he does cow her. He gets to, he gets the solution to how to protect yourself from her. And then he also bounds her hair, which is in some tellings made of dragons or made of serpents, or just really messy. And then he hangs her from the temple so that all of Israel could see that he has gotten rid of this one demon's powers at the very least. If she's not going to be doing any work on the temple, she's also not going to be afflicting your babies.
Yeah. So that's, that's there you go, right? No more killing babies for you, right? So her job, unwilling as she is now not killing babies.
She gets to hang out.
Yeah. Oh, gee.
Oh, too soon for that? With its fictional demon who kills babies.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, okay. All right. I like this.
Where do we go from here, Lester?
So I think the next one is also yours. I think you had a bunch of them in order.
Okay.
If we're going in order of demons.
Oh, I don't know. Okay. I had just put them in the chat. Okay, I think I got you.
Yeah.
All right. So then I've got the next one, and he is a big old kitty cat. I'm a bad cat daddy.
Aw, yeah.
Yeah, and his name is Wrath, or Roth, Rath.
Ooh, I like this. Okay.
And they refer to him as the lion bearer, like Bearer, and wasn't quite sure what that meant, that he's a lion bearer. So,
because like all the artistic depictions of him, he is a lion.
Yeah, and I thought, okay, so he's half lion, half bear, which is what I would choose to be, I suppose.
Oh,
but no, that if I was a demon, I guess. But no, that's not what he is. He's just he's just a lion. Okay. So this is from verse 51.
There must be something like in the translation that we're missing,
right?
Like lion, the father of lions, or the lion sire, or the,
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. It's interesting that they choose a lion anyways. So here is verse 51.
Okay.
And I praised the Lord God of heaven and earth, and bade another demon come forward to me. And there came before me one in the form of a lion roaring. And he stood, whatever that means, and answered me, saying, O king, in the form which I have, I am a spirit quite incapable of being perceived. Upon all men who lie prostrate with sickness I leap, coming stealthily along, and I render the man weak, so that his habit of body is enfeebled. But I have another glory, O king. I cast out demons, and I have legions under my control, and I am capable of being received in my dwelling places, along with all the demons belonging to the legions under me. So he's coming right out. So unlike Abazoth, he's like saying, "Here's my whole deal," right?
Yeah. It's like it's like Abazoth told me like what the questions are. I studied them beforehand.
Right. He's got media training. So he comes before him standing. I mean, I don't know. Is that on his hind legs? I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
Does that mean like he appears in a puff of smoke on all fours,
right.
And then he sees that he's been summoned. He sees Solomon. He's like, oh
God. I'm not ready.
Sorry, like,
right. Somehow
caught me in the waiting room.
I'm on a Zoom meeting. Yeah. So he does not appear afraid of Solomon, right? He's very much like putting on this tough show of things. And there's questions here already. So he says, I prey on men who prostrate themselves with illness. So I've heard many interpretations of that already. So is it people, a lot of these demons attack people who are weak, right? Like in their weakness. So is he attacking people who are ill? Is that why he's attacking people? Because they're vulnerable? Or is he attacking people who prostrate themselves with illness, which means like, I am ill, I'm going to prostrate myself towards God. Right. So is that what he's attacking? What is that? He sees weakness in that they are praying towards God, the Father. Right.
Right. I do remember. Yeah. Some people were interpreting it that way, that like almost like their faith is a disease.
Yes. I like that a lot. Right.
It's like, oh, you're sick with this love of God. I'm going to attack you as because like prostrate, like, bowing down, you're doubled over. So you could be like doubled over in pain, or you could be doubled over because you're like, kneeling and bowing and prostrating yourself before God. Yeah.
Look at yourself on all fours, right? Here I am. I'm a lion.
I certainly don't do that.
Right, exactly. And so, he's one of these demons who says like, I'm kind of like, not only is he not afraid of Solomon, he's a little bit like, we're kind of on the same level. I'm a demon outcaster myself, right? I'm a demon caster outer, and I am a king, right? That might be why he is a lion, taking on that lion form, which always bothers me. This is a big incidental, right? But like, I've never understood why the lion is the king of the animals, because the lion isn't even the biggest cat. The tiger is,
right?
So I don't understand. Is it just the his mane, his frill? He's just got that extra cape or cloak on him.
Right. But then when you get like into like the actual like animal of the lion, you see that the lionesses are doing like a lot of the work.
Right. All the male lions do is attack other male lions and kill the children of the previous male lions. It's the lionesses who actually do the work.
Right, and provide more children.
Right, exactly.
At the behest of the lionesses.
Right, exactly. Right? So I've never understood.
And if they don't want to, too bad.
Too bad.
There's did you see? There's a picture going around online of sorry, of this lioness, and she's like, I think she's like got the male lion's like balls in her mouth, like she's like biting them, and the male lion just like, he has like the saddest face, like he's been putting in his 8 hours,
right, exactly,
and he is done, and he just wants to go and he wants to take a nap, but this lioness is like, no,
just want to get on with the boys and play some COD.
It's like, you don't spend any time with me, you got to spend, and he's just like, whoa, and it's the set, like, guys, Google sad male lion, and it's the funniest thing.
Yes,
this poor guy.
I love that one. So,
you've seen it too.
Oh yes. So he says he is like, he sort of puts himself on that he's a king, like he's like the equal of Solomon. And he has legion. He has a legion, he says, of demons below him, not with a capital L, so not our legion from our story, but just that he has the equivalent of a Roman legion under him of other demons.
Yeah.
So, he's sort of appealing as Solomon is saying like, hey, I'm going to make you my guy now, right? I'm going to throw this ring at you, and you're going to be, and he's sort of like, I can't give you all the info, or like I can't tell you who is the angel that frustrates me, not for myself, but because of my fiefdom. I'm a jobs creator, right? Like if you attack me, then I won't have enough capital, to trickle down into the feudalistic the feudalistic triangle that is the demon world, right?
Look at this guy. Look at this, he knows he did his homework before seeing Solomon.
Yeah, exactly. So Solomon insists. He's like, I need to know who your angel is, right? And so he finally tells him, okay, my angel is Emmanuel. And you know Emmanuel, I suppose, probably better than I do.
Right. Yes. Well, Emmanuel is like one of the names of Jesus.
Of Jesus.
And yes. Wait a minute. This is the testament of Solomon.
I had to look it up.
This is way before Jesus' time. How is this lion demon talking about Jesus?
Yeah, so he gives sort of a code word for Jesus, a name for Jesus, and talks about how Emmanuel is going to be the best of all the angels who frustrates demons, and he's going to give of himself, and he tells the whole story, the Cliff Notes version of the whole story of Jesus that will come. So he sees into the future.
Yeah. So again, this really cool. You could view it two ways. You could view it as this is one of those hints. It was like obviously written like after Christ's time.
So cynical, Lester. So cynical.
Or this would be like, oh wow, this is some really good like foreshadowing here. It's like he's even talking about like he's given us the what's the word, the lowdown, the 420,
the down low,
the down low.
No, you're right. Low down.
Okay, there we go. I don't know.
The 411.
The 411. There we go. I was why 420? Well, no. Obviously, I know why 420.
Yeah, because you're a Californian.
Yes. But no, like he's telling us like what's going to go down.
Right.
Later on in the story, which you could look at that and be like, ooh, this is cool. Like we got some foreshadowing on Solomon.
Right.
We got some foreshadowing on the fate of like the world. This is really cool.
These demons know what's up. So as much as Roth is putting on his show and saying like, I'm the equal of you, Solomon, I have all these legions of demons below me, etc., and I'm not trying to put this off for myself, I'm thinking about them. Solomon does use his ring, and he convinces he compels Roth,
quote unquote, convinces.
And so he's all these legions, right? So it is a little bit like, okay, if you kill the queen vampire, then all the other vampires die with you.
Sure, yeah.
So once you get Wrath, you get all the demons under him. And so he's like, great, you're going to be the woodcutters. You're going to go and clear the forests and get me this wood. And Wrath, you're not out of this. You're not just going to like supervise. You have to use those sharp lion bear teeth of yours and cut down trees with your teeth.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it feels like he gets off pretty easily. Maybe Solomon does see him as an equal amongst kings because he doesn't get punished, really. He just has to do some work.
Right, cutting down trees, right? I do want to see him, in a hard hat, like on his hind legs,
right.
Like the front paws folded, supervising like his legion of demons, and they're just like they're all just kind of like sawing the trees down and everything.
Right, he's got his thermos.
Yeah.
And he's looking at his watch.
Right. But then, Solomon walks by and he's like, oh.
He gets on his hind legs and starts.
Yeah. Starts chopping down a tree right next to
his teeth.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if he's smart, he has to keep a tree around him at all times so that if Solomon comes by.
Right. And it's almost cut all the way through, right? So right when Solomon walks by, it's like, timber. It's like, oh boy, Wrath, you're working real hard, right? We're hardly working. Finger guns. Yeah. And we don't know anything about like forcing this lion to cut trees. Like again, I keep on trying to be like, okay, there's got to be some kind of like irony in the jobs that he's making these demons do, but I can't think of anything for Wrath.
I don't know, because we've already used water on. He's a lion, right? He doesn't like water. So
you would think that would be the one,
right? We've already
right?
used that.
You gotta walk around the roof of the temple and not knock off any of these clay pots filled with water, and see how long you can stand doing that. Right.
Great.
Yeah. Okay, and I think you have the next
all
one
right,
too.
So still me. All right, so we have. I wanted to pick, and I like the animals, so I picked another one, and this is the demon Seahorse.
Ooh.
So that's a question about whether that's two words, Seahorse or Seahorse as a combined. You've seen regular seahorses as we know them, right?
I see horses. Yes.
And a seahorse itself is called a hippocampus. And so it's like hippo is a horse and campus, I guess, is the sea part of it.
Wait, hippo is a horse? This is getting really confusing now.
Yes, hippo means horse, doesn't it?
I was unaware.
Like a hippodrome.
I always thought hippo meant hippo.
That's a hippopotamus.
Yes.
That's a river horse.
Oh.
And
now it all makes sense.
And a hippodrome is the building the Romans would build. That's a horse race track. Yeah. So hippo is they called it a horse. Obviously, it's not a horse. But so the hippocampus in your brain, that part of your brain it's a gland that's attached to your brain, if I'm thinking about it correctly, right? It looks like a seahorse, which is why they called it that, because it's this curly sort of S shape. Yeah. Okay. So our horse demon of the sea isn't given a name really in here. Yeah, so it's something like Kunos Paston, which is sort of Greek, or Kunopegos, as some people have, but it doesn't quite say like that is my name. So that's a little unusual, because most of it, that's what a Solomon does. Solomon's like, you have to tell me your name, as we might be predicting the future, talk about in the Protestant tradition of delivering exorcism. I'm just having a vision here. Then the future this will happen, that we talked about, like being really important in delivering praying deliverance, is that you need to have the name of the demon say himself. So he doesn't quite say that. He says, those on earth call me Kunos Paston, which is not quite the same thing as like, this is who I am. Right. So this is from verse 67.
Okay.
And having praised God, I commanded another spirit to come before me. And there came before my face another demon, having in front the shape of a horse, but behind of a fish. And he had a mighty voice and said to me, O King Solomon, I am a fierce spirit of the sea, and I am greedy of gold and silver. I am such a spirit as rounds itself and comes over the expanses of the water of the sea, and I trip up the men who sail thereon. For I round myself into a wave and transform myself, and then throw myself on ships and come right in on them. And that is my business and my way of getting hold of money and men. For I take the men and whirl them round with myself and hurl the men out of the sea. For I am not covetous of men's bodies, but cast them up out of the sea so far. But since Beelzebul, ruler of the spirits of air and of those under the earth, and lord of the earthly ones, hath a joint kingship with us in respect of the deeds of each of one of us, therefore I went up from the sea to get a certain outlook in his company. So I think again, the text says he has the face of a horse, or the head of the horse, and the body of a fish.
Yeah, that's a little bit more vague than I was understanding, because like I always you see pictures of this guy and it's a giant seahorse.
A giant seahorse, which is what I would prefer it to be.
Right. It's as demonic as you can make a seahorse, which is not very.
Well, yes, he's different from some other of our demons here.
Yeah.
I've seen Kunopegos being translated as dog flow, which I don't know what that means either.
Okay.
But yeah, so he has a body of a fish, but again, like we have trouble. I'm not sure in the translation whether this use of fish is the same as whale or sea monster.
Right.
So if it's it's the face of a horse, but he's a sea monster underneath, that would be a little bit different than a fish, I suppose. Yeah. So he preys on sailors, and the reason he does is because he likes money.
Again, we got these demons who are like all about the money. It's like, what are you going to do with
that money? I don't know. I mean, why does Smaug need money in the book? In that one book.
Oh yes,
what's it called?
Smaug. Right?
Yeah,
Smaug or Smaug. Yeah.
Give me the name of this goddamn. What's it called? The book that was Smaug with the Hobbit. Thank you very much. With the little elf people who aren't elves, they're hobbits.
No, the little hobbits.
Thank you. Hey, I'm older than you by a couple of months. So why does Smaug need gold?
That goes way back. That's like dragons love to like have their hoard of gold and sleep on it and stuff like that. Yeah,
but we don't really. It's just sort of instinctual for them.
Yeah, I think it's just like a metaphor for like a greedy person is like a dragon with his hoard or something like that.
Right.
Like, dragons are like the personification of greed.
All right, so that's what this is in the sea.
Okay.
He takes the gold. He doesn't say where he puts it, where he keeps it, how he keeps it from floating away. But yeah,
in his little seahorse pouch.
Oh yeah, that's where they keep the babies. Have you ever seen that? The seahorse giving birth?
No, I have not.
Oh, that you've got to Google. It's really amazing. So it's actually the female lays the eggs in the male's pouch, And so so they are fish, so they're not like giving live birth exactly, but that's essentially what's going on. So they lay the fertilized eggs in the male's pouch, and then he starts spasming them out, and they've hatched from their eggs and they're going all over the place. And so
it seems like the male is giving live
yes,
birth.
it's really, really cool. Right. I think that I think scientists say it that way anyways, because that's sort of, for a lot of intents and purposes, but that's not what's happening. It's not giving live birth. The eggs have hatched in the pouch. And then he's like, you guys got to get out of here. You're weighing me down.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got to take a look at that.
Dads,
Yeah, typical dads, right?
Yeah.
So he preys on sailors. He makes them seasick, even if he doesn't attack them. So he's responsible. If for anyone who's read this story and has been seasick on the ocean, that's him. That's his job.
Yeah.
He wrecks ships. He takes their money. He unlike I saw some interpretation that like there's an idea of good piracy at this point, like the pirate code was to take the money but leave people alive.
Oh, okay.
And this guy, which wouldn't be like our idea, like the golden age of piracy that we know, like they would kill. But yeah, so this guy, he's especially evil with his piracy because he takes the money and still kills them. So he takes basically the ransom and then violates the ransom agreement and kills them anyways. Yeah, so not a good deal, this Kunapegos.
No.
Yeah, and I like this, right? So like, okay, Beelzebub and I have a deal. Like he, as we have said in the earlier part of the Testament, he rules the land and the air and the demons who are up there. But I, the demon Seahorse, rule the sea and all the demons down here, if there are any.
So he's the associate of Beelzebub.
Yeah, that's what he says. I don't know how Beelzebub talks about him, right?
Oh yeah, right. It's like he's one of those references. It's like don't like, do we have permission to reach out to this reference like on the resume? It's like no.
But we're buds. We're partners.
We are absolute buds, right? But don't call him, please.
Right. So he's like the Poseidon in this pantheon that the author of the Testament of Solomon is making. Yeah.
Okay.
So then he transforms into waves, and he says that I am the sea, and like the sea is an inherently evil place because I am it.
Interesting.
And it kind of contradicts itself because he can turn into waves, but he also is the waves. He also is the sea. And then as we see in a second, like there's some contradiction there because one of the ways that he tries to get out. So I've accidentally picked 3 demons whose whole thing is like, I don't want to work on the temple and you can't make me. Right. It's like, I don't have any skills. I can't do it because it's going to impact my employees who already have contracts with me. Right.
I'm a leader, not a follower.
I'd really love to help you here. Right.
Yeah.
So Kunapegos, the Seahorse demon, like he is talking to Solomon. He's been like all the other ones. Beelzebub has commanded him to go talk to Solomon. And near the end of his story, right, he's like, but I can't help you build the temple because I am a seahorse and I need to be in water to survive. Now, do you see any trouble with that so far?
Yeah, how is he like appearing before Solomon right
exactly.
now?
That's never explained. So that's never gone over. And Solomon is like, like, that's a really interesting thing. But Solomon, in his wisdom, comes up with a solution to this, which is what? With great Solomonic wisdom. Think of something here, Lester.
Comes Solomonic responsibility. No. Which Solomon obviously doesn't exercise. I actually, I don't know the end of this.
But what would you? But think about this. What's the great wisdom that Solomon would do? So Kunapegos says, I can't be around here because I have to be in water.
He would fill up a giant bathtub.
That's right.
Wait, what?
So Solomon, in all his wisdom, gets his men to build a vial, and he fills it with 10 jars of water, whatever that means.
Okay.
So
like how much is a jar?
Right, exactly. So even like the biggest jar you've ever seen in your life, 10 of those is enough to fit this Seahorse demon in.
Interesting. Okay.
So so then he gets to be there, and he gets to help them. Once we get like Solomon solving that riddle of the ages of how to get this Seahorse to be around him on land because he needs water. It doesn't really exactly say like, well, now what does the Seahorse guy do?
Right. Yeah. This seems like an Obizuth situation where it's like, well, I can't I can't set you to work, but you can't go back to doing what you were doing.
Exactly.
Like no more killing babies and no more like wrecking ships. So you're just gonna like be an ornament at the front of my temple.
Right.
where people see it's like, hey, there's no more problems with childbirth, and there's no more problems with the sea because I have those problems.
We
right
will
here.
never lose any ships to sea again. Yeah.
Right.
So a vial of water with 10 jars of seawater of 2 measures each. So 20 jugs full of water. Yeah. Whatever that would be is it's holding this seahorse guy. And so it doesn't mention like this is we're not quite saying things like, okay, we're leaving part of the story out. Like what is his angel? That frustrates him. It doesn't say in the testament. This guy's, this is a different kind of demon. He lives in the sea. So extra textually to this extra biblical Testament of Solomon.
Well, that's like extra.
Extra. Right. He is Iameth.
Demon seahorse has no angel. No.
Oh no, but we had to finish this. Someone has to write this down. So he's Iameth, the sorcerer angel who studies magic and usually helps out white witches. But I don't know where that's coming from. That is from the Demonology Wikia. So I don't know where they're getting that, but they did somewhere.
Okay. All right. So Iameth. All right. So Iameth and this unnamed seahorse.
Who, he says that you couldn't. Demon. It's a little bit like you couldn't possibly pronounce my name, but man would call me Kunapegos.
Aha. Okay.
Or Kunospaston.
Yeah. And so it is 2 words. Like so the question is whether or not it's like seahorse or seahorse, right? Just like we have the horseman or the horseman.
Yeah, we picked the more interesting one.
Right.
Yeah, so I think in this case the more interesting one is a seahorse. One word.
Gotcha. Oh yeah. For sure. Right. Wait, that doesn't answer anything. Like which one?
The seahorse, one word. The one the hippocampus.
Oh, yes.
That's that gives males give live birth out of their pouches. That one,
right?
And that hold on to the cute ones. They use a little curly tail to hold on to seagrass reeds and stay together in the motion of the ocean.
Ah, there we go. Nice. All right. Okay. So very, very interesting here, right? So you had one of your demons was a lady demon. So continuing with our lady demons, we have another one who seems to give Solomon some pause. This is Enepsigos. This is verse 64. And there came before my face another spirit, as it were a woman in the form she had. But on her shoulders she had 2 other heads with hands. And I asked her, and said, Tell me, who art thou? And she said to me, I am Enepsigos, who also have a myriad names. And I said to her, By what angel art thou frustrated? But she said to me, What seekest? What askest thou? I undergo changes, like the goddess I am called, and I change again, and pass into possession of another shape. And be not desirous, therefore, to know all that concerns me. But since thou art before me for this much, hearken. I have my abode in the moon, and for that reason I possess 3 forms. At times I am magically invoked by the wise as Kronos. At other times, in connection with those who bring me down, I come down and appear in another shape. The measure of the element is inexplicable and indefinable, and not to be frustrated. I then, changing into these 3 forms, come down and become such as thou seest me. But I am frustrated by the angel Rathanael, who sits in the 3rd heaven. This, then, is why I speak to thee. Yonder temple cannot contain me. So, again, we have another demon who's like, I'm not going to do what you say. Solomon's not batting very well in this episode.
Yeah, I guess not.
Yeah. He's like, no, I'm not going to do what you say. No, I'm not going to tell, I will deign to tell you, what I'm all about, but not because you ask me, right?
I have a lot of questions about this one, about this person here.
Yeah.
So I don't know. She says that that she is Kronos. Is that what she's saying?
So I'm taking that to maybe be a pun.
Oh.
But we'll see.
Okay.
I did a little bit of research here. So it is pretty roundly agreed that this is supposed to be Hecate or Hecate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she is the triple goddess of witchcraft in Greek mythology. She's also the goddess of spirits, of the night, and of the moon. She's probably the originator of the archetype of the triple goddess, where you have like the young woman, the maiden, then you have the mother, and then you have the wise old crone. And it's understood that like not only are these important cycles in a woman's life, but Hecate personifies each of these archetypes both independently and as three different beings, but also as one being. Much like a woman might take on all three of those roles in her lifetime, right? Like so that's how this goddess was seen originally, right? As this embodiment of the three major stages of womanhood. And so of course, what are we going to do in this story about Solomon, right? We're going to take that that benevolent goddess and make it a demon, right? Yeah, so that's what we did, right? We sort of went off the path a little bit, right? I'm sure we'll find some time to talk more about witchcraft and Hecate later. But yeah, like I guess it's time to get back to Solomon, this guy. So yeah, so Solomon does what he always does. This is verse 65. I therefore. Solomon. I almost thought he wasn't going to say it. I, therefore, Solomon, prayed to my God, and I invoked the angel of whom Epsinagos spoke to me, and used my seal. And I sealed her with the triple chain, and placed beneath her the fastening of the chain. I used the seal of God, and the Spirit prophesies to me, saying, This is what thou, King Solomon, doest to us. But after a time thy kingdom shall be broken, and again, in season, this temple shall be riven asunder. And all Jerusalem shall be undone by the king of the Persians, and the Medes, and the Chaldeans. And the vessels of this temple which thou makest shall be put to servile uses of the gods, and along with them all the jars in which thou dost shut us up shall be broken by the hands of men. And then we shall go forth in great power hither and thither, and be disseminated all over the world. And we shall lead astray the inhabited world for a long season, until the Son of God is stretched upon the cross. For never before doth arise a king like unto him, one frustrating us all, whose mother shall not have contact with man. Who else can receive such authority over spirits, except he whom the first devil will seek to tempt, but will not prevail over? The number of his name is 644, which is Emmanuel. Wherefore, O King Solomon, thy time is evil, and thy years short and evil, and to thy servant shall thy kingdom be given. And interestingly, Inepsigo or Hecate doesn't fight back, but just sort of shakes her head at him, or her heads. And she's like, why you do this to me, Solomon? She chastises him and again predicts his downfall. Not only that, but she goes on to predict the fall of all mankind and the rise of the demons as evil and sin reclaim the world, only to be undone when the Son of God is stretched upon the cross. Again, more proof that this was written way later, right, and not by Solomon. But like in the grand story, it seems pretty epic, right? We have the foretelling of Solomon's doom, and then that of all mankind, and a foreshadowing of the coming Christ, right? Pretty epic, right? Like, while not canon, this is certainly like pretty right?
Yeah. It goes over 2,000 years of histories and falls and growth of empires in one quick swoop.
Yeah. Now, our last demon that we're going to look at before wrapping this episode up comes to us in the form of a giant.
A giant what?
Just a giant. Yeah, just like literally like a giant, right? He also doesn't have a name, or at least he does not give his name.
I don't understand how Solomon why does he let them get away with that? Isn't that the whole point?
This was like he was starting out strong. Right, getting these demons to give their names, give their addresses, give like what signs they are, right? Like Orneus is an Aquarius, right?
How do you do a job interview without knowing their name?
Yeah, this is like very I don't know.
Where are we sending your paychecks, whoever your name is?
Right, pay to the order of of
you, buddy,
of this guy, right?
Chief.
Yeah. So I see Solomon in his office. He's like, okay. Pay to the order of the demon in the shape of a seahorse or a seahorse. Address? The sea.
But I thought he was the sea.
Oh, no, wait. No, I can just bring this to him. He's right outside the temple.
That's right. Oh, that's true. Now he lives in a big tub in the temple.
Yeah.
Just
address,
go throw it in there.
big tub in the temple of Solomon. Hey, that's me. He actually writes, hey, that's me. Amount, 0. Minus meals and Social Security, and so it looks like this guy actually owes Solomon.
Sure,
quite a bit.
Pay off those jars.
Yeah. The real enemy in the Testament of Solomon is Solomon. I like how we both essentially said the same thing.
Right. In this version of Solomon in the Bible, he's not all capitalistic, but
right.
Here he's a landlord, and he forms a company town and makes them live at their job.
Yep. Yeah. But yeah, okay. So this guy is a giant. This next demon. Solomon asks who he is, and he says that he is a lustful spirit risen from a dead giant in the time of giants, which scholars have taken to mean that he is a ghost of one of the Nephilim. Keenan, have you heard of these guys?
No, a Nephilim.
So this is from another apocryphal text. This is the book of Enoch. The Nephilim were a race of giants who were the products of lustful angels, or sometimes fallen angels, who slept with mortal women. And then those mortal women gave birth to monsters called the Nephilim, which are believed to be like some sort of like monstrous giant. Right? But this is all highly speculative from what the text gives us, right? The text actually says something like the sons of God, right, often interpreted as angels, lay with the daughters of man, which is often interpreted as humans. But some theorize that they're talking about the children or grandchildren of Cain and Abel, right? So like sons of God, obviously like Abel's kids, right? And the sons of man, or like without God, would be the sons of Cain. So that's another idea, is that like this was like a great calamity that the ancestors of Abel and the ancestors of Cain, had children, right? And this was like, in God's eyes, this was terrible.
Yeah, I've never understood that. I mean, I see how it works literally, I suppose, but Cain did a bad thing, and so all of his kids are bad. That doesn't seem even it doesn't even seem to jibe with Judaism.
Yeah. Well, okay, but there's also like another hole in that. Did Abel already have children before Cain killed him?
Oh, you!
I'm just saying.
Look at it. Yeah. I think you're right.
Because they were supposed to be like children themselves.
Yeah,
weren't
that's
they?
the idea, right? Usually.
Yeah.
And then where are Seth's kids in all of this?
Right.
Does Seth have kids? So that's who they mean. They just call them Abel's kids because Seth isn't bad.
Oh yeah, could have been Seth. Yeah. Yeah. So all of this, very, very speculative. But like the popular belief is that, angels got with human women and gave birth to these monsters called the Nephilim, right? Yeah. So that's the most popular interpretation. And they were these Nephilim, they were either killed in the flood, or it's also told how like the angel Gabriel came down and got them to fight and kill each other, right? So again, we have some like contradicting texts,
right?
But that's why there are no more Nephilim anywhere, because either the flood or because of Gabriel, right?
Right.
Yeah, right. So in any case, this guy apparently is the ghost of one of those guys, right? He's the ghost of a Nephilim, right? And his thing is that he hides in graves that people try to rob, and he takes the form of the dead. And when the grave robbers come to get the treasure, he jumps out and kills them. Or causes them to be possessed by other demons. So Solomon asks him, like he does with all the others, right? Like what angel frustrates him? And once again, right, this guy is also thwarted by none other than Jesus.
It's cheating at this point.
I'm seeing a pattern here. It's like you have these demons that show up. They say, no, we're not going to like bow and scrape to you, Solomon. And who's your angel? It's like, oh, Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe that's what they're doing. It's like, okay, so who's your aunt? It's like, oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Okay.
All
Scribe,
right.
write that down. It's Jesus. Right? No. I mean, yeah, sure. But yeah, so he is so this guy is thwarted by Jesus, referred in the text only as the Savior. But then this guy goes further and says that all you have to do to get rid of him, the ghost of the giant, is to write the number of Emmanuel on your forehead, and that'll be enough to send him running. So
okay.
Yeah, so folks, next time you're grave robbing. Just remember, right? If that skeleton in the corner jumps out at you, right? Just take your hat off and let him see the number of Emmanuel on your forehead, and you'll scare him.
Right. So, like, yeah, when you're Link and you're in a little dungeon, and you open up a little treasure chest, but it's not a real treasure chest. It's a monster in there. Take off your little elf cap.
Exactly. Right. And they'll be like, Emmanuel. and then he'll skitter away,
right,
with all his bones clacking, right? Yeah, but folks, please, so when you're in those graves and everything, and a skeleton does jump out at you, please do not touch the Nephilim scare actors.
Exactly.
They are performers.
Yes.
They are not going to touch you. And if you do violate any of these rules, the lights will come on in the tomb, and an angel will escort you out, and you will not get a refund. Yeah.
Right. These Nephilim scare actors are very low paid. That should go without saying, I guess.
Yeah. We've literally combined the word scare and actors into something that sounds like characters. So that should tell you how much they're getting paid. Yeah. But yeah, but I love the way that this one ends. This is the end of verse 72. And I, Solomon, on hearing this and having glorified the Lord God, shut up this demon like the rest. So even he's tired by now.
It's like, you get it.
Just get out of here. Gotta get out of here, right? He didn't even set him to work. Now he's doing that thing. Like this is his second week of the job,
right? And
he's just clicking through the emails. He's like, delete, right? Well, greetings, Solomon. I am delete. Right?
He's leaving his Pokedex fairly incomplete.
Yes, right. He's like there's a new game that came out. He wants to play that one now. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. What is it? That Dead by Daylight type game.
Dead by Daylight. Yeah. And risen by 3 days later. I don't know. All right. And folks, that is all the time we have for this week. But we will be back next week with another installment of the Testament of Solomon. We're getting close to the end here, Keenan. Do you think we're going to have a happy ending here?
I think the demon said we have a happy ending and then centuries of unhappy ending.
Right. And then another happy ending.
Then another happy ending. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
the happiest ending that supersedes all the other endings.
Right. But what about Solomon himself? What kind of ending do we think he's going to have?
I actually don't know. I didn't read it. I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, folks who have read ahead, you know what's coming up. Yeah. It's something about Artemis and locusts. And I don't know.
Okay. All right. I'm excited.
Yeah. All right. But that's it. All right. Well, that was great. Thanks, past Lester and Keenan. Well, folks, I have been Lester Ryan Clark, both in the past and in the present. You can summon me on all the socials as Lester Ryan Clark.
And I am immune to the bounds of time, and I've been Keenan Diaz, and you can invoke me on Instagram and Letterboxd at Howdy Keenan.
Yeah, find more of our shows and other really cool podcasts at True Story FM. Like us on Instagram and join our Facebook listener group, Dante's Ninth Circle Sushi and Karaoke Bar, or feel free to drop us a message at thedevilsdetails@gmail.com. Wouldst thou like to live deliciously? We're not even asking for your souls. Just give us a 5-pentagram rating on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen to our show. In the dead of night, when the village is asleep and the witching hour makes the veil between worlds most thin. That and sharing the show by word of mouth or on social media helps our little podcast grow and find more cool people like you. All right, folks. Until next week, love and hisses. Mwah!